All right, we're live.
Here we
Hello,
are. Hello.
everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Bitrate. I'm John Algitz, and joining me, as always, is, of course, the lovely Ash. Ash, how are you
Oh,
doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been a little while since we've done this. I think
Uh,
we've both not
2
had time,
months?
and there hasn't been much to talk about too.
It's
But
true.
as sure enough, a big thing happened recently that we definitely have plenty to say about.
Yes. If you've been living under a rock for the last week, the Switch 2 Direct happened on the 4th of April and
Mhm.
or the 2nd of April. Yeah, we're going to be talking about it here. A lot of stuff came out from it. But before we get to that, I just want to know, Ash, first of all, how have you been the last
I,
little bit?
I've been pretty all right. Like I've mostly been working on new videos, actually, mostly aesthetic stuff. Um, did everything just freeze for a second there? No. Okay.
No. For me.
That's just my computer being weird then. Yeah, I've mostly been working on aesthetic stuff. I'm actually planning, right now I'm working on what might be the biggest aesthetics video yet, just in terms of like the illustration that I will end up with. Because
Yeah.
I'm basically drawing 6 characters and then an illustration, starring
Which
all 6 of them. So that's gonna be big.
You've been sharing some of those character work with
Yeah.
me via Discord, and I'm excited.
It
I'm
is
looking forward to
going to
seeing it.
be ridiculous and hopefully hilarious and hopefully also actually well drawn. But
Oh, by the way, speaking of artwork, did the T Public review
I don't know what's happening. I
go
put up for
through?
once an original T Public design recently, and they said it was up for review, but it's not under my under review tab, and I haven't received an email since, so I don't know what's happening.
Because I'm gonna need that as soon as it becomes available.
Yeah, well, I'm also not gonna post the art until that T-shirt is ready, so I don't know what the hell is happening. I might try to re-upload it soon if nothing happens.
I will just have to look and see if it. I just need to pull up your store.
I don't think it's on there. It wasn't last time I checked.
Well, anyways, yeah. So I've been working. That's basically what my time's been filled with: work and other like personal life stuff. Let's say hello to some folks. We have Mr. Pio. I never.
Don't ask me. I have no idea.
I've never been able to say your name. I'm just gonna call you Mr. Pie. Mr. Pie saying sup. Only Joe King, a classic member of our audience here, saying hello. We've got Pinky over here saying sup, nerds. How you doing?
And then we've got not JPEG.
And then not JPEG. Ash guests in chat as it's going. I like that I am guest. Like, not like I've been hosting the show the entire time. Nope. But anyways, yeah. So glad to have something distracting me from my seasonal allergies, says not JPEG. Glad to be distracting you from this.
I'm glad we're slightly preferable from sneezing and coughing your lungs out.
It's good to hear that. I do appreciate that. But anyways, yes. So the Switch 2, we had the Direct. Now, Esh, you and I were watching it live as it was happening. We were talking to each other over Discord. So I feel like I have a general idea of how you feel about the whole thing. But before we get into any of the specific things that were announced and talked about, what are your kind of like overall vibes, like your overall feelings about this Direct and everything that was kind of shown off?
My overall feelings are that the Switch is essentially what we kind of expected it would be. Like, it is a more powerful Switch, you know? Switch 2 is, well then, which one of us is the guest? Your guess. According to not JPEG, it's you. So,
well, anyway. I know who said that, and we're just gonna. The name gives it away.
Anyway, I think it's pretty much what we expected, like specs wise. There's actually a couple of things that you totally called last time we talked about it a couple months ago. Because I believe we talked about a leak that happened at one point, and whether we thought that leak was believable or not. And you called stuff like the magnetic snapping of the Joy-Cons, which I'm not super happy with.
We're gonna get into that. Yeah. I've got a lot of thoughts.
But for the most part, I'm actually, first of all, I'm surprised that it's coming out way earlier than they said, assuming certain things don't put a stop to that. We'll talk about that too. But the announced release date was way earlier than I expected. I definitely thought they were going to go for Christmas.
Yeah, when we were talking about it during the live, you were like, okay, it's going to be like a November launch
because it usually is. Like,
yeah, a lot of consoles and stuff come out around October, November, kind of that time frame seems to be a lot. If it's not then, though, it's usually May, June, which is actually when we're getting Switch 2, because Switch 2's official release date is June 5th, 2025. It does have a MSRP of $449.99 for the base system, with a bundle including Mario Kart World, the new Mario Kart game that they announced. That will be at $499.99, which, considering the cost that they also announced that games are going to be, that is a good deal.
That's actually what I was most, because like I feel like Nintendo has rarely been like the most expensive thing on the market. They're pretty good at like keeping it at a place where most people can, join in, which, fits with their brand. They're supposed to be like a console for everyone.
Yeah.
But 450 was actually less than I was expecting. I was expecting 500 for the base system, 550 maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking we were going to be hitting that 500 price point.
Yeah.
But as Gaming with Power down here points out, the Switch 2 reveal was great, except for that $80 to $90 games.
That is insanity. That is absolute insanity.
As I mentioned, the Mario Kart World Bundle is a great deal because they did announce that games are going to be increasing in price from what they currently are right now. When you buy a new game, you're looking at like $60 to $70
AAA, mind you,
going rate for AAA. But with Nintendo, they announced that their published titles are going to be $80 digitally and $90 physically,
which is complete insanity. Like,
on one hand, I'm excited about seeing a price difference between physical and digital.
Yes,
that is something that for a long time I've been like, hey, why is digital not cheaper? It just makes sense. But $90, and especially considering they were actually talking about this came out after the direct. This is something that journalists who were actually at events asked them about, and we learned a little bit more about. A lot of the physical games, they won't necessarily have anything actually on the cart.
Yeah.
The way that some physical games, and I'm not sure if it's going to be all of them or if it's just going to be some of them, but the game carts are actually going to function as a key to download the game.
Which now, I'm not happy with at all. But
I'm very much not happy with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, on one hand, that's kind of cool, because one of the big things about buying, like, because you can go to the store right now and you can pick up a Switch game that is literally just a download code in a box. And when you have situations like that, you can't resell the downloaded game. Exactly. Theoretically, with this, you'll be able to resell a downloadable game, because to play that game that you downloaded, you have to put the card in. And so theoretically, someone else could buy that card from you, download the game, and then play it with that card, which is cool. But on the other hand, as a physical collector, I want the game data on the cart, because the day will come. We've already seen it with previous Nintendo consoles. We've seen it with previous Microsoft and Sony consoles as well, but it's been less of an issue with those systems. But we've seen in the past where they've shut down their online services for systems. Suddenly, even if you bought software, you can't re-download it.
Which is just the worst, really.
Pretty big. It becomes a problem, and that's why I collect as a physical collector, is sort of for personal archiving reasons. I want to be able to go back and play a game that I bought 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
With no problems. But now with this being how they're handling physical, is there even a point in buying physical?
That's the thing, right? Because we've both faced it for the last decade and a half, almost 2 decades now. Ever since streaming content became a thing and digital storefronts became a thing, we've both, without a doubt, faced the people that are laughing at us for keeping our physical thing. Like, servers aren't magic; they disappear. Eventually, someone shuts them the fuck down. That is not a question of if, it's a question of when. And sure, assuming that Nintendo continues to be the giant it is and we don't all die from the sun exploding in a couple years, like, maybe that'll outlast our lifetime. Who knows? But it will happen. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, the idea of media being just data in the cloud really, really, really does not sit well with me at all, because it means they can and will take it away from you at any given moment.
That's why it's something that I've started doing a lot more.
And mind you, I do buy digital games. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but
no, like the amount of I have like 700 plus games in my Steam library. But when if I can, I've been trying more and more to buy games on Good Old Games, GOG, because for those of you who don't know, if you buy a game on GOG, if it is available, in addition to getting like the digital download through their online store that they normally do, you can also download a DRM free installer that is yours to keep. And you can just take that installer, put it on a hard drive, burn it to a CD, whatever it is that however you want to store it. And if GOG ever goes away, you'll still have the installer that will work without having to connect to any server.
Or not even something that drastic, just like a licensing shit thing happens.
Yeah.
Where they have to take it down. That happens sometimes, and that's not necessarily anybody's fault exactly. Sometimes
that happened with that happened with GOG actually just recently, because Activision took all of the Blizzard games off of GOG. So all of the old Warcraft games, all of the like StarCraft games, Diablo, everything like that, they took it off of GOG. And the thing is that I believe it was Warcraft 1 and 2 were part of GOG's game preservation service, which is GOG's thing where they say, if a game is a part of this series, we will put in the legwork to make sure that this game will work on modern systems forever. Like, we will constantly be releasing updates and patches and stuff to get it to work on whatever new release of Windows or whatever platform to make it work. When Blizzard was like, hey, we're pulling these games off of GOG, the people at GOG were like, listen, we're pulling these games off because we have to, but we're still going to release the patches for these games
part is very
if
cool.
you bought them forever, because we said we would do this.
That's very cool of them.
The more and more that I have spent around GOG, buying games from GOG, reading about GOG, talking with some of the people from there, the more and more like love and respect that I have for those guys. Like, they are treating games the way they should be treated.
Absolutely. I mean, the trade-off is that, you know, the library is not anywhere near as big as it is on Steam.
No.
And as someone who plays as many indie games as I do, indie horror games, we all know I love that shit. Like, not none, but very, very few of those end up on GOG.
But you can often get games like that from itch.io.
Sometimes, yes, but
which a lot of times they're also DRM free.
Yeah, exactly. So there are absolutely options. I'm just saying that, like, I'm not trying to be like anti-digital storefront. The idea is great. It has definitely like made game making and game distribution way easier and way more accessible. And I love that. I love what media should always be something that everyone can make, in my mind. Like, it shouldn't only be accessible to people who can afford a $30,000 camera, you know? I love that you have a phone now that you could theoretically make a whole ass movie on. I love that, genuinely.
And people have.
They have, and they should, and they will, and they'll keep doing it. The problem is the whole, like, it can just like that. And it doesn't even have to be because someone is malicious. It could be because someone dropped a magnet in the server room. Like, you know?
Wow.
I'm of course, I'm putting out on, I'm giving an extreme example, of course, but you know what I mean? Like, literally overnight, it could just be wiped. And that is a fucking problem.
It really
God
is.
damn.
But yeah, so that is what's going on with Switch pricing and Switch 2
Yeah.
releasing and everything like that.
Well,
One thing that
more thing
was
about the pricing that is a little bit of a problem.
we might as well just rip off the band-aid
Yeah.
and talk about this right now. Originally, the Switch 2 pre-orders in North America were announced for April 9th, which is,
On
3 days
Wednesday, I
away from
believe.
now.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Nintendo has since come out and said that the pre-order release or the pre-order date is going to be delayed because they want to reevaluate business situation in regards to the Trump administration's announcement of tariffs.
They're
For those of you who don't
completely
know what
made
a
up
tariff
numbers.
is, which I
Yeah.
feel like members of our audience might not necessarily know what a tariff is an import tax.
Yeah.
It is when something comes into our country, the government holds on to that thing and says you have to pay us money before you can get this item. It is the importer that pays the tax. It is not the exporter that pays the tax. So if I buy a $10 t-shirt from a Chinese manufacturer, it'll cost me $12.50, but the Chinese company still gets their $10. They don't have to pay anything. I have to pay the extra amount.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we clear on that? All right. So obviously when you're dealing with electronics, they don't make a lot of microchips in the US. Like, let's just be clear. Like, that is not something that is made here
Nope.
very much. We don't really have the manufacturing. There's not like a chip manufacturing plant in Ohio that is going to be making the NVIDIA chips that are running the Switch 2. That's not really a thing. And it also being a Japanese company, there's also just like aspects of this whole thing that even if chips were made here in the US, there's still aspects of it dealing with international trade and all those sort of things. So what does this mean? Well, as I already said, the pre-order date for the Switch 2 is going to be pushed back. We don't know when it is going to happen. And also on top of that, you know how earlier we said the MSRP costs for the system? Do not get too attached to those prices. It's probably going to cost more. I have seen estimates ranging anywhere from $560 all the way up to like $670 is what people are kind of putting this thing in around. It is not. It is that is quite an increase. And so we're just going to have to wait and see what that is going to do to the cost. And even if that is going to because this could be very well be something that causes the launch date in the US to be pushed back.
Yeah. There's a very high chance of that. Like, it's just such, I mean, if you've been paying attention to the whole tariff situation, you've also realized in recent days that the numbers of those tariffs, like the percentages for each individual country, are blatantly made up.
Yeah, they're not reciprocal.
Nothing about it makes any sense. It's one thing to impose new tariffs. That's a thing that happens sometimes.
It does.
Also in other countries. Like, we trade across countries. That's just business. So tariffs in and of themselves aren't the problem. The problem is we have a certain person in charge well, the US has a certain person in charge right now who is blatantly just doing bullshit math to come up with random ass tariffs. Like, what was it? He just divided the country's import with their export or something like that.
So what it was he claimed that the number that, because he displayed the number that he said they were tariffing us, or that they had on U.S. goods, the tariff on U.S. goods, and he was like, we're only going to do a reciprocal tariff of a half of what they did, but he wasn't actually showing the tariff. What it was our trade deficit, divided by which is it is effectively what you were saying, where it was like, how much do we buy from them versus how much they buy from us, and then cut in half.
Yeah, which is nonsense math.
That's
like,
not. That's not.
It has nothing to do with
That's not a
anything.
number that matters.
It literally just exists to create a number. Like, that number means nothing.
It's like it was like the way that he presented it. The way that the administration presented it, it would be like me being mad at the grocery store because I was buying all this stuff from the grocery store, but the grocery store never bought anything from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's completely ridiculous. Never mind the fact that several of those tariffs are for uninhabited places on the earth, but that's a different matter. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah.
That list he showed. Oh God.
Frankly, I hope the U.S. will have a hard time over this. That's what you get for tariffing penguins.
See, Mr. Pie knows
Yeah,
what I'm talking about. On that list of places that the U.S. is like placing tariffs on, some of them are, and
the Herd Islands or whatever.
yeah, some of them are like uninhabited patches of land that are basically nature reserves. And I believe
Yeah.
there's at least one where the only thing on there is a fucking US military base. He's tariffing himself. Which first of all, you can't do that. Like, this isn't a thing. Which tells us that all this dude has done, or well, his sycophants have done, is look at a map, write down a list, and then just do a bunch of math real quick. And then present this list that makes no sense.
Someone who was some newspaper, I'm forgetting which, I think it was the Washington Post, it might have been someone else. What they did was they asked Chat GPT, using both the administration's language and just like plain language, like, hey, if we had countries, or if we had a trade deficit with this country, how would you best fix that? And ChatGPT spit out the exact numbers that they used. So this paper is like, what are the chances that they got this whole plan from ChatGPT?
Very high, considering
ignoring the fact that this
Yeah.
newspaper also pointed out that when they did that, when they asked ChatGPT that question, it gave an answer and then followed it up with a paragraph saying, but don't do that. That's an awful idea.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is also the administration that has been leaking like war secrets via personal Facebook chats and Gmail accounts recently.
Yeah.
It's just a complete fucking shit show.
Drunk texting.
The thing that the way this affects the Switch too, obviously, prices will skyrocket, at least in the US.
Yes.
There's a very high chance of that. So I think what Nintendo is doing right now is basically like biding their time a bit. I think they're kind of hoping. Let's be real here. Nintendo, for all the nice things we can say about them, all the bad things we can say about them, they're profit first, like any major media company in the world. They absolutely are. So they will hike up the price if they have to. No question.
Well, and like the thing when it comes to video game consoles, the sort of common practice in the past and throughout like most of the generations has always been, you lose money on the system. Like you sell the system at a loss to get people in the door, and then you make that money back with licensing. Yes. That's how they've done that since the original Nintendo. I think it was Nintendo that did that first.
Probably.
And that's kind of always been the case. There have been a few outliers. Like I think that Microsoft, I think with the Xbox One, didn't sell it at a loss. I think I might be misremembering that, but
not the original PS3 release that was like absurdly expensive. That might have
been. That was just largely because the cell processor was very
right.
Very
it's been a while. Excuse me for not remembering.
So there is a chance that Nintendo might view it as worth it to eat that cost themselves.
Yeah.
But that's a big cost, and this is the Nintendo Switch 2. This is a system that before they even announced it, pretty much everyone was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of like a given, especially I think that Sony might not have been able to pull off eating the cost. Microsoft definitely wouldn't be able to pull off eating the cost. Nintendo, of the three big ones, could probably they could potentially, flipped around. Sony would have to eat the cost. Microsoft would have to eat the cost. Nintendo fans are going to buy it regardless of the cost. So,
because do not underestimate just how popular the Switch was and still is, and how excited people have been for the Switch 2 for half of the Switch's lifetime. People have been asking for this for a long ass time. It is going to get bought regardless of whatever.
I mean, how long were we hearing about Switch Pro rumors?
Oh yeah,
which effectively is like, at this point, that is what the Switch 2 is. Is kind of just Switch Pro.
So I think,
but we were hearing about Switch Pro rumors back in like 2018.
Yeah.
Like,
so I think what's happening here is that Nintendo is like biding their time a little. They're gonna see what happens. Maybe they're kind of hoping for the tariffs to be rolled back, which I doubt that's gonna happen. But
are you kidding me? It would not surprise me in the slightest.
Well, okay. What I mean is, I'm not like holding my breath for it to happen, but considering how much bullshit the Trump administration just says and then immediately pulls back on, like these are kids just throwing things on the wall and seeing if they slide down. I'm sorry, I have no reason to be afraid of criticizing the Trump administration over here in my little.
I mean, they are trying to take land from you. So
trying would be the key word here, because they're not going to. At least they're not going to succeed, but that's a different matter. These are just children yelling things until someone agrees with them. Like the entire EU right now is fighting back against the tariffs too. Like it's just a giant game of chicken at this point. Every single country has been like, all right, we'll take your tariff and double it. Fuck you. Like, what are you going to do?
Well, did you hear about, I don't want to spend too much longer on this because we're not a political podcast.
Absolutely.
So
no. Really take everything we say with a grain of salt, by the way.
So. Did you hear about what California wants to do?
Fuck. I did, but I forget. Please.
So Governor Gavin Newsom has directed members of his cabinet to reach out to foreign governments that ones that are putting retaliatory tariffs on all this and asking them to exclude products made in California from those tariffs, because he's basically going, California doesn't want any of that smoke, so let's see if we work out a deal.
That is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Again, we're not a political channel, so we'll stop this in a second. This whole administration does not have anywhere near the amount of supporters it thinks it does, or at least that it wants you to think it does. A lot of people are against it. Problem is,
we saw that yesterday with all the protests that happened.
Exactly. What was it, like 1 million people?
3 million estimated.
Damn. Holy shit.
That's well, I mean, it's a lot of people, but when you take into consideration that we're a country of 330 million.
I know, but 1 million people taken to the street is nothing to sneeze at, regardless.
What was I read something yesterday that was I think it was statistically over the history of mankind, it's only taken, I think, like 3.75% of a country's population to change.
Yes, I saw that article too.
Yeah, like, so just consistently 3.37% or 3.75% or whatever is all it takes to like enact major change. So
in either case, like the Switch 2 pricing release date, it's very much up in the air right now. There's no question it's going to be a hit and that people are going to buy it, but they might actually, the administration might face a little more pushback than they were prepared for.
Well, that's Hassan Piker was talking about this, where he's like, the one thing that you don't do is you don't take away people's treats.
Exactly.
And it, like, gamers are starting to feel this right now. I saw something earlier today. Razer has been canceling pre-orders and canceling orders on stuff because they're just like, we can't honor this original price, so we're just going to cancel your order. So like people's like laptops and their peripherals and things of that nature are getting canceled because it's just like, we can't, from a business standpoint, we can't fulfill this order.
Exactly.
So
like it's not even just like a gamer thing, it's historically a thing. If you take away the thing that kept people, and this is going to sound very, very bleak, that kept people complacent, like once they're not like comfortably miserable, oh boy, that's when shit goes down.
You don't touch the circus. That's what it is.
It's yeah, exactly. Like it's I think I'm going back to movies for a second. Lloyd Kaufman wrote something similar in his books. Like the one thing, and we're like a low budget production company here. Our movies cost nothing. There are two things you don't fuck with on a trauma budget. Safety, because nobody should get hurt. Second, food. Like the food might not be Michelin. It might not be 3-star, but you don't skimp out on feeding people.
Yeah, no.
If people can get a treat or a little bit of downtime or whatever, they will work their asses off.
Well, that's the like that's just working
human
in
nature, really.
working in low budget film. Like that's just a good rule of thumb at all. Where
Keep your
like
crew fed.
yeah, even if you're not like I have worked on short films where where nobody was getting paid. We were kind of just there for the love of the game, but every single one of those there was food.
Exactly.
Because you just at the very least like you got to give them a treat. Don't take their treats away.
So I'm just putting it on like a very, very basic level here. Don't take away people's nice things. It will absolutely bite you in the ass. And those nice things don't even have to be like big, expensive things. I've seen a lot of people really make fun of this. Like, well, anti-wokers, are you happy now? You got the they-thems out of the games, but now every game costs.
You also got rid of the games.
You also got a game that costs like 30% more than they used to. Have fun, asshole.
all the people on Blue Sky who were just like, wow, I didn't realize it till just now how much our country ran on woke.
Dude, the gamers are gonna be a big part of the uprising, man. I'm just saying.
Which is funny because all the Gamergate stuff is arguably like, if you trace like a lot of the right wing sort of online sentiment, a lot of like QAnon and stuff like that, you can draw a direct line all the way back to Gamergate.
It's so funny.
It's like kind of funny that's where that all started.
We have,
but anyways, as I said, we're not a political show, so
but we have truly entered the find out phase of fucking around and finding out right now.
I really wish that I didn't have to find out, because I'm pretty sure I didn't fuck around personally.
Exactly. This is just a collective punishment. But let's ignore all that for a second. Let's ignore prices. Let's ignore release dates. Let's just talk about the system and the games for a bit. Like, because at the end of the day, that's the important part, right? Like,
it's true. So they did announce some of the technical specifications of the console itself, which was exciting. It was good to get a little bit of a feel of what's going to be running under the hood. As we know, it is a bigger system. We knew it was going to be a bigger system from the announcement trailer where they literally showed it like basically side by side with the original. But it is going to have a 7.9-inch LCD screen, which, first of all, one thing that I do want to talk about, I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time a little bit understanding that it's LCD as opposed to OLED. I would have thought that after the Switch OLED model that would have just been the standard, but it is an LCD screen, probably as a cost saving thing.
Probably
we'll probably get a system refresh after the end of year one, maybe the end of year two, that'll be like the Switch 2 OLED or whatever.
Yeah. Probably.
So it's a way for Nintendo to sell us the same system again.
Well, like you said, Nintendo knows that they gotta sell the system at a rate where people can afford it. You know, like where a parent can theoretically, at the very least, get it for their kid for Christmas without breaking the bank. So I can see it as a cost-cutting measure. Yeah.
It is going to be, the handheld resolution will be up to 1080p, which is great because the base handheld resolution of the Switch 1 is 720p.
Yep.
I think is the maximum that it can get up to. For comparison,
was it 4K when it's docked?
4K when it's docked. For comparison, just to put this into perspective, the base model Steam Deck, and actually I think all models of the Steam Deck, which to me, when you're talking about the Switch and the Switch 2, that is what I'm going to be comparing it to.
Of course.
Like, just personally, is I'm going to be comparing it to the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck's resolution is 800p.
Yeah.
So just to put that into perspective, it is the Switch 2 is docked up to 4K resolution,
right?
And up to 120 FPS. Which is pretty
not bad.
They did show off, one thing that they showed off is that games will have the option. This is something that we saw in like the PS5 between fidelity and performance mode, where it was like, do you want to look a little bit better but run at 60 FPS, or do you want to like maybe kick the graphics down a little bit and run at 120?
Right.
That seems to be something that they're going to have games having the option to do. So that's pretty cool.
Which, when you're dealing with Nintendo, like, pure polygon count has never been their style.
It's never been that big of a deal now.
So you can just set it to fidelity mode for most of their games, and they'll still look beautiful.
Run it at the higher FPS if you've got a monitor that can handle it.
Yeah, this is the thing that, like, we've talked about before that a lot more publishers need to understand. Like the graphics race, well, it's not over, but we can break. We can stop for a second and focus on art
It
direction,
has
please.
slowed down
Yeah.
significantly.
I saw an
It's not
article-
over, but it's slowed down.
I saw an article literally yesterday where some major publisher was like, "Yeah, it's time to stop now. We don't need to chase photorealism anymore. It's gonna be a while before we can even achieve that anyway. So how about
Well,
we
and-
actually
and-
hire some art directors?"
Did you play that Indiana Jones game that came out?
I did not, but it looked very impressive.
Dude, there are some moments in that game where I'm like, I'm looking at a picture.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because Unreal 5, like the stuff that you can do with Unreal 5 is just insane. If you are looking to get into game development today, 100% start with Unreal. Like Unreal is just what you need to know. Like learn Unreal.
Plan. That's my plan once I finally fucking finish the thing I am working on right now.
It's okay. I need to dive into Unreal more and spend more time with it because I know Unity, which is cringe.
Yeah. Well,
because I learned Unity before all of the awfulness. But I need to jump into Unreal and spend some more time with it. I want to make a boomer shooter.
But my realistic face pores. Yeah, I was having this conversation just the other day with someone. I'll take art direction over being able to count teeth any day. Thank you.
You can get it out. Okay, so yeah. Fancy stuff with all the resolutions and everything involving that. It is using, I believe, an NVIDIA chipset. So wouldn't be surprised if they haven't mentioned it, but wouldn't be surprised if ray tracing could be a thing that we see maybe. Seems to be kind of innocuous at this point. It seems like everything has ray tracing. So yeah, that's the thing. The Joy-Cons. Let's talk about the snapping.
Yeah. That shit is gonna break.
That is 100% going to break. We're talking about the attachment mechanism. If you haven't seen it, basically instead of having the sliding rails like the Switch One has, it instead kind of snaps in and it's held with magnets. And there's a little like chip that's on the Switch itself that then slots into the Joy-Con. That is 100% going to break. So the first second a kid just goes, huh, it is going to break.
Which is unfortunate. Let's just put it that way. Like I get the idea, but it's just not feasible in the long run.
So many people who I've seen on social media who are like, tech repair people, like people who run like repair shops and stuff, are excited because they're like, that's 100% going to break. I'm going to have so many of those coming through my shop. That's going to make me so much money.
We are making bank.
Yeah, because it is very clearly a failure point. And I'm hoping that Nintendo has thought about that and that they have a solution. But looking at what we've seen in the video and the official images and stuff, I don't see how they could have reinforced it.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't they also say that the old Joy-Cons are going to be compatible with it?
I don't remember hearing that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I might have seen that somewhere.
I don't think that they'll be physically
no
compatible, but you'll be able to use the old ones for like docked.
Why not? I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I would just much rather have an actual like slot to put it in.
Yeah, I honestly didn't see a problem with the rails. I don't know why they wouldn't just keep that, but
the rails work fine. What's the problem? Plus, for us cheapos, it makes third-party production of Joy-Cons way fucking easier.
Oh yeah, because like here's the thing: is that when I do get the system, which I'll probably wait to get it.
One, I'm not getting it on launch.
And two, I don't buy systems at launch really anymore. But one of the very first things I will do is I will pull the system out. I will look at it. I will go, neat. And then I will take those Joy-Cons off, throw them back in the box and get a third-party solution that is way more comfortable.
Yep.
Because I'm going to throw this out there. This is my hot take. The Joy-Con is the worst design controller Nintendo's ever made.
They're not great.
Fucking hate those things.
They're not great.
So much.
Like
the minute the Hori Split Pad Pro came out, I bought that shit.
Oh yeah, no, I have third party Joy-Cons as well. First of all, they're more comfortable in your hand. They're like bulbous, so they actually rest in
Yeah.
your palm. Like the flat design was always shit on the Joy-Cons for one. Never mind the Joy-Con drift. That's a different.
They were also they were small. They were too thin. I have normal sized hands. It was like I was like everything was so cramped. I was like, this isn't comfortable for anybody.
Nope.
Like it was literally only comfortable to me. The only game that I was able to play where my hands didn't cramp up was Tetris. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else, if I had to do the sticks, if I had to do anything like that, it was just pain city. So and I guarantee you with these new Joy-Cons, they are bigger. They do look like they're maybe a little bit more comfortable. I don't care. I will go with whatever Hori or PDP or any of those companies put out.
When I got my Switch, and I got it a couple years late. I think I got it like 2 or 3 years after the fact. I got Joy-Con drift almost immediately, which shit fucking sucks, by the way, because try playing fucking Breath of the Wild with drift. Good lord.
That is something that I'm surprised. I would have thought with how prevalent Joy-Con drift was, I would have thought that one, they would have made the sticks in these new Joy-Cons Hall effects. And I would have thought that they would have done that and then like made that a major point of their marketing.
Yeah, they didn't really say anything about that.
They didn't say anything about it. There is a chance that they might be Hall effect sticks because they haven't said that they're not. But I feel like if they were, again, with how prevalent Joy-Con drift was, they would have said it.
Where I was going with what I was saying was like, so I'm sitting there with a new console, well, half a year at that point. It was like 6 months later or something that it broke. And the very first thing I did was buy just like the cheapest third-party controller I could find. I'm talking old school controller here.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't even wireless. I had to like plug it in with a USB because I just needed something that worked. And it was infinitely better than it was to play with the fucking Joy-Cons.
I went and I got I don't
it was
play
a cheap piece of shit, don't get me wrong, but it was better than the Joy-Cons.
I don't play the Switch docked really at all. The only time that I played, like the last time that I remember playing my Switch docked was Let's Go Eevee.
Yeah.
Like that's how long ago it's been.
I kind of had to because at the time there weren't a lot of third-party Joy-Cons exactly, but there were a couple of controllers.
Well, no, but I just to me the Switch is a portable system.
Yeah.
And so that's how I always treat it. But I do have because I never bought a Pro controller. I never bought like a specific controller for docked Switch. What I did buy was I bought I believe it was Mayflash makes an adapter. I think 8-Bit Do now does as well. An adapter that allows you to use like any Bluetooth controller as a Switch controller. I used my DualShock 5 or DualSense, whatever the hell this thing's called. Or like some of my Xbox One controllers.
Nice.
I have enough controllers. I don't need to buy anymore now.
My point is that for a very long time, I had like the shittiest controller imaginable, and it was still preferable. So that should tell you something.
But these new Joy-Cons do have some new features that are.
I love the mouse feature. Let's talk about the mouse feature.
Let's talk about the mouse feature. Which is another thing that I called. I was like, yes, because I'd seen some people be like, "What if it's a mouse?" And I was like, "What if it's a mouse?" Yeah, they're mice. You turn them on their side, and they have optical sensors, just like any mouse does. Yeah, I'm a freak.
Very
who
cool.
Uses a multi-button MMO mouse.
It is a very cool idea. I love it because, I actually do have, aside from like Clock Tower that I bought a little while ago, I do actually have a couple of like classic not classic. I have a couple of point and click games, or other games that require like specific item management and stuff like that. And doing that with Joy-Cons or with any controller really is a pain in the ass. If you can't use the D-pad and you're stuck with the actual joypad, like that shit just sucks. Being able to just take a Joy-Con and flip it on the side and play it that way sounds amazing.
Yeah. I joked when they announced it during the live stream, they said that when they were like, "Oh, it's going to be a mouse," I joked with you that I was going to exclusively play my boomer shooters on my Switch 2.
Yeah.
I might actually play some shooters on the Switch 2 because of the mouse feature. Like that,
Yeah.
that would make things, because even though I have played shooters on consoles for decades at this point, like I was a big Halo player and things of that nature, I still so very much prefer a mouse and keyboard setup for
Yep.
shooters. Like that's
Well,
just,
it's
to
more
me, it
precise.
is faster and more precise. But with this Joy-Con feature, like I could sit here with one controller doing the motion while I'm mousing with the other
Yeah.
hand. Like that's a okay way to do it. I believe it was PlayStation Quake 2. You could use the PlayStation mouse and then move with the controller.
Yes, that sounds right. I seem to remember.
Like, that's perfectly legitimate way to do
And
things.
other uses aside from shooters and stuff like strategy games, city builders, shit like that. Because like, not that I can just
Heroes
buy.
of Might and Magic.
Hell
Like
yeah,
Mr.
I've
P
been
on the
playing 3
PS2.
again recently, so
Yeah.
um,
Could be
but
good.
yeah, like I could just buy this on Steam, and I probably will eventually. I've been eyeing like 2 Point Hospital and those games for a while, and they're on sale on Switch fairly often. And I'm always like, oh, I want it, and then I remember, no, playing that with a Joy-Con sounds like getting my balls stuck in a vice. Like that sounds terrible.
Gaming with Power here says Baldur's Gate 3 on Switch 2. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a port. That being said, that is a game that actually you don't need a mouse with.
Yeah.
It works surprisingly well with controllers. I have played it on my Steam Deck just with a controller, and it works surprisingly well. So you don't necessarily need the mouse.
Wonderful game too, but that's a different matter.
Let's just real quick do an aside here. Carnage Rage. Sorry for asking again, but are you going to play Ninja Gaiden Ragebound and Shinobi Art of Vengeance?
I think that's for me.
Yeah,
I haven't really
understood.
played any Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi. I played the PS2 game Shinobi when I was a kid, and that's about it.
God, that game was hard.
It was, but it was also awesome that you could like power up the sword and one-shot bosses. That was like one of the funnest things about it. I love that game. I did beat it, but it was. Whew,
I've never, just in general, I've never really been into ninjas. Like
it's
games, movies, comics. I've never really been a ninja guy.
It's not my go-to, no. So probably not, because I have no
I
connection
prefer
to those
samurai,
franchises at all.
personally.
Well, gee, I wonder if I prefer samurai over ninja. If only I was like known for enjoying a particular samurai fiction.
If only there was, I think there's like a samurai rabbit or something.
Nah, that sounds stupid. That sounds dumb.
Yeah, that sounds really, really dumb.
Who would ever be into that? How could that ever be a nearly 50-year-long franchise?
Idiots, that's who. In addition to the mouse features, the Joy-Con also features a new C button. We had seen this in the leaks
fucking call thing. Oh my god, yeah.
So the C button was something that we had seen that in leaks, and people were like trying to figure out, what does the C button do? And it might be the most underwhelming possible use for a dedicated button that I could think of. And that is their new game chat feature, which is basically just Discord on the Switch.
Yeah.
This is a feature that would have been really rad when the OG Nintendo or the OG Xbox did it.
Yeah.
This is another example of Nintendo being like 20 years late to the party.
Yeah, this one is dumb. I kind of understand why they're doing it. They're trying to localize all of it so it's on the same device. So you're not sitting there having to, because if you wanted to do voice chat while playing a Nintendo game before, you had to get the fucking phone app, which was dumb. Ridiculous.
And it just made people just use Discord.
Exactly. But so I can see why they thought this might be an idea, but there's a couple of other issues with it. Like stuff like screen sharing and stuff like that when you're playing online is very cool in theory. Don't get me wrong here. But the mic placement is on the goddamn console, if I remember.
So it does seem like the Pro controller does have a headphone jack. Okay, so theoretically you could plug in a game mic into that. But yeah, Gaming with Power points out, aren't they also charging money for the call feature? I don't think that I don't think the feature itself is specifically
something
they're charging for. It's just that you have to be subscribed to Nintendo online services
Yes,
to use
that's
it,
true.
which Xbox was the same way, at least on their earlier systems. If you were going to use chat, you had to be subscribed to Xbox Live. So that's industry standard.
I mean, it's not great, but it's understandable to a certain degree.
Again, just use Discord.
As
There's a
for the
Discord
in-game,
app on your phone.
yeah, just get a headset, plug it into your phone, just do that. There's no reason for the other shit. Again, like the screen sharing is cool in concept, but
Yeah.
for almost all, I'm just an old man about this. I almost never play multiplayer games online, like kart racers, fighters, whatever. And it's not like I have a ton of friends living nearby that I can gather for a gaming night or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've never invited me over for a gaming night.
Well, there's kind of a couple oceans to worry about.
Just one,
a
and
one.
an entire country that I'd have to cross.
Exactly. But either way, like to me, the fun part of multiplayer games like Mario Party, which was their example for like how to use the call. I know people do, but I just can't imagine playing Mario Party online or Mario Kart. Well, with strangers, yes, but with your friends, no. Half the fun is having them next to you so you can elbow them for being an asshole. Like, swim, John, swim. Yep.
I'll get right on that, Pinky.
Start now, and we'll see you at Christmas.
But no, yeah. To me, like, again, it's a cool feature. It's a useful feature for a certain kind of person. I'm not gonna ever use it, but it's also like they made a big deal about this, and I'm like, this is something that other systems have already been doing.
It's also not going to work anywhere near as well as they were presenting it in the presentation. Because like these people were like perfectly lit, which, okay, it's a professionally made commercial, this whole direct, I get it, but they were like showing people perfectly lit, sitting, in huge ass rooms. Most average people are going to look worse than I do on this webcam when they're doing
you look
this.
pretty bad.
Yeah, I know. That has nothing to do with the webcam. That's just me.
No.
But I don't know, man. It's cool in theory. I just don't see it working anywhere near as well as they're trying to make it look.
Well, and also on top of that, they are selling a camera for all of their chat features and live streaming stuff, and there's also like some in-game stuff, which a lot of people that I've seen are like, okay, so Nintendo has finally caught up to the iToy.
Yeah,
because that's kind of what it seems to be.
God, I had the original iToy and the original first iToy game. I have had when I'm cleaning windows stuck in my head ever since 2004 when that came out. I don't fucking know when the iToy came out.
It was like 2002, 2003,
something like that.
Yeah,
I had it. It was very fun at the time and very unique at the time, and now it's about as outdated as it could possibly be. So
for $49.99 here in the US, you'll be able to get the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. Great name, guys. Great name. Which is just a pretty low power webcam. Yeah. I am curious if you could just plug in like third-party webcams.
Who knows? Maybe.
And have it work. Because if so, then I would say drop more money for like a Logitech webcam that isn't that much more expensive and is better. They showed it plugs into the top USB-C. Because one of the things is there are 2 USB-C ports now, and both of them support charging, which is great.
Yes.
Because the bottom charging port was uncomfortable if you're somebody like me who plays the Switch in bed and often finds himself laying there charging and playing.
Dude, even just on the couch, it's a fucking nightmare. Like,
yeah. So being able to charge on top is nice. But yeah, it looks like the camera is going to plug in via USB-C, but you can always get adapters, USB-A to C.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see if third-party webcams, like just generic webcams, will work. As was pointed out, at least we got the Piranha Plant camera from Hori from all this. They did go off there. They are selling their own Nintendo Switch camera, and it looks like a Piranha Plant from Mario, which is pretty good.
That is very cute. Hold on, I gotta see this camera.
Since we're on here talking about peripherals, let's talk about the.
Oh, that is adorable. I love it.
You're right. Yeah. Let's take some time to talk about the new Pro controller. It's the Pro controller.
Yeah, there's no difference.
It's basically the same.
They added some buttons,
back buttons.
Like, yeah,
it has the back buttons, which are popular among certain people.
I don't know what they're
So
for exactly. They're just
it's
programmable,
just
right?
often, they're programmable buttons. I've seen people a lot of times will use them as like face buttons, so
Mm,
that like when you're playing shooters, especially use these a lot. You don't want to take one hand off of a stick because
right.
you're looking around, and so they'll, instead of taking their finger off the stick to go to A or B or whatever, they'll keep their thumbs on the stick and they'll change the back buttons to A and B
That makes
so that
sense.
they can do functions and stuff. And also, like, people will program like macros and things of that nature. So it's like, if there's a move that you use a lot that's a multi-button input, you can just put it on one. I don't know if you're going to be able to necessarily put macros on the back buttons, but you could probably program them to be like A or B or X or Y or whatever.
Probably. That could be useful.
It is. I will also say it is cool for the accessibility,
Mhm.
because different people, if they've got like
Oh,
something
yes,
with their
absolutely.
hands,
Like,
just
even
having
me,
more options is good.
like, I'm able-bodied and have fairly normal hands and everything. Even I can sometimes, like, find a little annoying to use triggers and bumpers. So
For
I can
me,
absolutely see the use.
most of the modern controllers, this isn't a problem, but some consoles, I find myself the L1 and R1 can sometimes be annoying
Mm,
to deal with.
yeah.
This is a bad example, but the Steam Deck is one
Mm,
where the L1 and the R1, it's not that I can't hit them, it's that in certain situations it becomes like straining
yeah,
to use
exactly.
them. Like I was
I know
playing
I know exactly what
uh
you mean.
I was emulating Burnout 3 on the Steam Deck, and Burnout 3 PS2 uses R1 for accelerate, but X for e-brake. So my
Oh,
hand was
no.
kind of sitting like this the whole time, and it was just not super comfortable.
I know one thing I've
Um,
had with some PlayStation controllers is that when the R1 and L1 buttons are widely used, my middle fingers will like rub against the lower bumper buttons, and
do
I'll
you
actually
not
get like
put the middle fingers on R2? Do you not sit
it's
like that?
it's a lot more comfortable for me to hold them like here, you know,
Oh yeah.
which I realize that's just me. It's just my personal thing, but it does mean that I occasionally like blister the insides of my
I mean,
middle
you
fingers.
could be like those weird people who play with the claw.
Fuck no. Sorry.
I don't know how people grabbed a controller and their first inclination was to hold it like this. I don't
Yeah, I don't
understand
know.
those people,
No.
but if you have to, it's great
That's
to
like
have
the
the other
gaming
control.
equivalent of the mom who texts with one finger, like. We've all seen
The
that.
Pro controller also does, as mentioned earlier, it does have a headphone jack
Yes.
and the aforementioned C button. But other than
Mm.
that, the controller is basically functionally the same
There's no real
as
difference.
which there are some people who argue that the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is the best controller ever made. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
It is good though.
As someone who is, I guess maybe you shouldn't listen to me, considering that I like the Xbox Duke.
Mm.
So maybe my opinion on controllers is just wrong.
I'm just gonna
Uh,
interrupt you real quick. Say it with me now, John. 1, 2, 3. Dino Crisis.
Dino Crisis, yeah.
Exactly. Like there it is. Roll back the counter.
We have talked about that so much. About
Sorry,
how we want a Dino Crisis remake. That
I
being
had
said,
to
if
bring it
they
up.
are going to remake another Resident Evil, please do not remake Resident Evil 5 or 6 or any of those.
Nah.
Code Veronica
Code Veronica
or
2.
Zero. Like,
Oh yeah,
because those are
Zero
the
could
two
really
that need
benefit from
the
it.
most.
Yeah.
Those are
Zero
the
could
two
really
that need
benefit
it.
from it. It needs to revamp the partner system, and then Resident Evil Zero would be insanely fun.
Yeah,
Like,
give me RE2 style remake of RE0 with
mhm.
online co-op.
Holy fuck, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Oh man, okay, that's a different talk entirely, but
All
that would
right,
be
let's talk
amazing.
about the games.
Yes. Actually, well, before we talk about the games, let's talk about the thing that shouldn't be a fucking game.
Oh,
Nintendo Home 2. What the hell is that?
the weird fucking like the Nintendo Switch 2 welcome tour. It is a digital manual
That
that they're
costs 20
charging money
fucking
for.
dollars. Why? Why?
Like
Why
that's
is
not
this a
something
thing?
like that's not a game. It's you go into it to learn how to use the system. That should be like free software that comes installed. You boot it up once, learn about the system, and then you never touch the software again.
It's just you moving the ugliest little fucking sim I've ever seen around to read about what each function fucking does. And for some reason, they charge $20 for that. What the hell is happening?
That is one of the weirdest things ever.
Think about when the PS5 came out and we got the Astrobot thing. That served the same basic purpose, looked better, and actually played as a fucking game and was free.
And then led to a actual proper game.
What the hell?
I don't understand it either.
What did they put in your food at Nintendo? What the fuck?
I was so confused because when they were showing it off, I was like, "Oh, cool! It's like a learning game. It'll come packaged with." And then it was like, "Oh, it's gonna be paid," and I'm like, "No."
Before they said anything else, before they even said that it was like a manual or whatever, I thought it was like a little new Miiverse thing. I was like, okay, I guess that's nice.
I think that software will be like. To me, that'll be like the gamer equivalent of the Darwin Awards.
Oh, God, yeah.
If you are dumb enough to buy that software, I think we are all allowed to make fun of you.
For any other reason than pure collectible. Like, I suppose.
But it's a digital asset. Like, we are requiring one person to buy that. One person buy it, rip it, upload it to the Internet Archive, and then that's it. That's all we ever need to do. It just needs to be archived for the sake of archival and no other reason. No other person needs to ever buy that.
Yeah, that is a whole fucking big waste of silicon. And
again,
data.
If you spend $20 on that, we get to make fun of you.
Yep,
that is just clear, and we will. In like just completely and totally. So talking about the games, the big one, the one that everyone is excited about, the one that they opened the direct with, Mario Kart World. Now we did get a little bit of a glimpse of this at the Switch 2 reveal when they announced it. We saw some Mario Kart, but we weren't sure if it was a full game or if it was just like, illustrative game footage. No, it is a game. It is a new Mario Kart, which is great because we get to finally put Mario Kart 8 to rest.
we were joking about that. We were talking about that in chat, like Mario Kart 8 Ultra Mega Hyper Ultimate.
Yeah.
Bullshit like asshole ultimate. Your mom edition 2045, like complete insanity. Like I get it. The game didn't really need a sequel for a long time, so I get all the DLC, but it was getting ridiculous.
It was just a little bit. So this new one, the sort of the two new big features that are kind of like a big deal, is the interconnected open world that they were pushing. That apparently, like in between races, you'll be able to just drive around with your buddies. Like,
so they're CTRing it. They're crash team racing.
Yeah, they're crash team racing
around.
And also the races will now feature up to 24 drivers. Now, that does not necessarily mean that there will be 24-player multiplayer.
Nope.
Just that each race will have 24 racers.
That is that is a recipe for absolute chaos right there. I love it.
Yeah. So that sounds pretty awesome. So yeah, it is Mario Kart. Mario Kart, I think, is one of the Nintendo properties that I do fuck with. Like, I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan, as we all know. I'm not really a big deal. I'm not a big fan. I don't jump for joy every time a new Nintendo property is announced. But I do love me some Mario Kart.
Mario Kart,
excited for that.
I don't play racing games in general, not even many kart races, but I do love, on occasion, playing some Mario Kart, which means, of course, like, I'm not going to pay $90 for Mario Kart,
But will you get the bundle?
I absolutely would get the bundle because there's literally no reason not to. Like, these prices.
Pay $50 more and get an $80 game.
Yeah, exactly. And Mario Kart is like the perfect little, so we're sitting around bored, what should we do? Mario Kart? Yeah, go, game. Like, I'll never be the guy who like gets good at Mario Kart and unlocks everything or whatever. And I definitely only own like 2 Mario Kart games or whatever. But they're always fun. They're always amazing. And one feature in World that I'm really loving, by the way, is the off-roading feature. Apparently, you can just like fuck around and off-road if you're bored.
Hell yeah.
Which sounds amazing.
I'd love doing donuts in a mud bog. That sounds amazing.
So essentially, you can just be like, I want to play Mario Kart, but I don't want to scream at my friends and kill each other. I'll just drive around for the fuck of it and take pictures That sounds amazing.
The other like big one, the one that got us kind of excited, is Donkey Kong Bonanza,
Hell
which
yeah.
will be the first fully 3D Donkey Kong platformer since Donkey Kong 64.
The DK crew.
Yeah. So that looks kind of rad. It looks like it is like a 3D platformer, but it kind of looks like someone took like those, like, like the PS2 era Hulk games.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it was like just him smashing everything. It looks very much like that.
There was that one Hulk game that everyone fucking loves, and I
Like
forget
World
what it's called.
Destruction,
Something
whatever.
like that. I've never
Ultimate
played it, but people always rave about that one.
Yeah.
So when I saw Donkey Kong Bonanza, I've played a little bit of Donkey Kong. I own Donkey Kong Country 1 and 3 on the Super Nintendo. I've played them. I haven't beaten them because they're hard as ass, and but it's never been a franchise that I've been hugely, playing everything that comes out for, but it's always been fun. And I like Donkey Kong as a character. This looks fucking rad. And it's about time he got like a big, new, bold mainline game. They had like Tropical Freeze and stuff a while ago.
Yeah.
But those were basically Country Returns. They were just like new Donkey Kong Country games. This is basically Donkey Kong getting the Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, or whatever it was called, treatment. And it looks rad as hell.
It does
Also,
look
people
like a
are
lot of fun.
already drawing insane amounts of fan art of a certain female monkey in the trailer. Don't look that up. Let's just say.
Furry's gonna furry.
Exactly. No, but in seriousness, I love it. One thing that I've seen a lot of contention about is Donkey Kong's new design. They gave him pants for one thing.
Yeah, he has different pants, which is a thing.
I love the new design. I adore it.
Well, this is something we were talking about on Discord, where we were like, is this the same Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Because for those of you who don't know, I don't think they ever necessarily canonized it, but I don't think that they ever like, I think they've only hinted at it and never like shut it down.
It's been like, I think it's been like referred to by Cranky in the Returns games, like vaguely.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Is that the Donkey Kong that you play in Country and all games since is actually Donkey Kong Jr.
Yes.
And so we were looking at this and we were like, could it be that this is a game where you're playing as Donkey Kong Sr.?
Exactly. Because like if you look at the if you look at Bonanza Donkey Kong's face, it's way cartoonier than it has been for a while. Well, he's already pretty cartoony, but it's much more expressive. It's much more like 80s style. It looks a lot like the art you would see on the
cabinet art on
machine.
Donkey Kong, yeah.
And I love that. He because like he pulls so many like wild take Looney Tunes ass faces in the trailer, and I adore it. It looks fantastic. And it gives him so much more personality. It's like Donkey Kong is a lovable character, don't get me wrong, he absolutely is. But he kind of only has one face, and that's the Donkey Kong face. Yeah. Here he's going full Wreck-It Ralph. Like,
so yeah, could we be playing as the OG Donkey Kong? That's what I want to know.
If it turns
that is my head canon.
If it turns out to be some kind of mid-quill prequel, that would be hilarious. I would love
You are playing Cranky Kong before he was cranky.
Come on, man. Leave Seth Rogen alone already. I hear the Seth Rogen DK Land will be DLC. Man,
I'd buy it.
A guy has a slightly recognizable laugh, and it's the only thing you ever hear about him. Seth Rogen has done a lot of cool shit, guys. Come on.
All right, getting into more stuff. A game that literally probably nobody asked for, because I cannot think of a single human being who even thought of this game. Kirby Air Riders is getting a new racing game.
Which I will have to say you're wrong. I'm seeing a lot of people very excited.
Yeah, but when was the last time that anyone thought of Kirby Air Ride?
The people who love it really love it. Let's put it that way.
But here's the thing. These are people who they're talking about it now. But before this announcement, were they talking about Air Ride?
Well, no. I've seen at least a couple of retrospective videos where people really fuck with it. So
really, that's funny, because all the retrospectives I've seen are talking about how much dog shit it is.
I guess we just watch different videos.
I guess. But yeah, so Masahiro Sakurai is going to be directing it apparently. So that's always good to hear. So yeah, Kirby Air Riders getting a sequel on the Switch 2. They ended the show with that.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was a choice. Something that is cool that is going to be talking about. They are pulling a Sony, and we are getting updated Switch 2 versions of Switch games.
Paid,
The
I
two
believe.
the two that they highlighted are the two Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They're going to be getting sort of paid upgrades where if you have the original game, like I guess you could just put the cartridge in because the system is backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then it'll
Thank
just
fuck,
prompt you
man.
like pay a little bit and you get the Switch 2 version, which just looks prettier and has a few other like additional enhancements like a Garmin app on your phone for Breath of
Yeah,
the Wild that'll be
that one
like
was
turn
weird.
right. That was so weird, but that's the thing that you could do.
To be
That
fair,
is
like in the Breath of the Wild verse, they had those like Sheikah slates where they're basically the Switch itself. So I
yeah.
kind of understand this one from like a thematic standpoint. I would go nuts if I was playing a fucking video game with a GPS yapping in my ear the whole time. I don't know. I don't know,
It
man.
very much reminded me of like, for instance, I bought the original PS4 Spider-Man on PS4 digitally.
Yes.
And then when I got my PS5, I downloaded that digital version of the PS4 version of Spider-Man, and it was like, hey, for $10 more, we can upgrade you to the PS5 version.
Hmm.
And so it was like, oh, okay, cool. It's just it looks better and it runs slightly better. Cool.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So it seems like that'll probably be kind of what it is.
I will say that $10 is not awful. I still feel
No.
like if you own the game, you should just get the fucking upgrade. But whatever.
Yeah. But it is what it is. There are some games though that are releasing on the Switch 2 that are also getting Switch versions. So they're just being
Yep.
released on both systems. Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA were the two that they highlighted.
Yep.
Metroid Prime 4 is going to be getting mouse controls, which might actually make me play that game.
Never played a Metroid game in my life, man. I wouldn't know.
I played the first Prime and it was fine enough, but I'm not a big fan of console shooters. Not my preferred way to play, so I kind of just skipped the rest of them because I was like, I enjoyed it, but not enough for me to deal with the controls game. But now that they're like, oh, you could use the mouse features, well, maybe I'm in. And then, of course, Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Starcross World and Super Mario Party Jamboree are both getting physically released expanded Switch 2 versions.
Yep.
So that is going to be pretty cool. Another game that is coming. This one was what they when they announced the mouse features. This was kind of like this is our showcase game for the mouse features.
Yep.
Drag X Drive is getting a release.
It looks
online
hilarious.
3v3 wheelchair basketball game, which is such a cool idea. Something that I had not ever thought of. My brain has never gone, why do we not have a wheelchair basketball game? But this works because you just have the two Joy-Cons and you're actually like moving the wheels as though you're
let's be real here. It is absolutely, like you say, kind of a gimmick game. It's there to show what this can do.
This is the Switch 2's arms.
Yeah, or I was thinking more along, well, it's a completely different type of game. I was thinking more of like snipper clips or stuff like that.
Well, but I'm just saying, because like when ARMS was announced, it was very clearly meant to be a showcase for the Joy-Cons feature.
Yes, I do remember that. It also
the use of the Joy-Cons is two separate things. So this is just showcasing the Joy-Cons.
Absolutely.
That's
it does, however, look fucking fun. Like the footage we got looked really fun because it's basically Rocket League with wheelchairs.
And it just seems like a cool premise.
Rocket League is fun as hell. Let's just be real here.
Yeah.
What little racing? It's not a racing game. What little car game or sports game I've played in my life? Rocket League is by far one of the most fun. So there you go.
Yeah. From Software is releasing Totally Not Bloodborne 2.
Yes, the Dusk Bloods, I believe it's called.
The Dusk Bloods, which to me, I'm like, a lot of people online, not just me, they're like, they had to put the blood like word in there just as a way of saying this is Bloodborne 2 without calling it Bloodborne 2 because Sony owns the publishing rights to Bloodborne.
So we've talked about this before too. I personally,
Not
and this is
Soulsborne fans?
entirely just me. Like, it's just a personal thing. I'm not docking the games or anything. I'm not into to Soulsborns, and
Me neither.
it's not even because I don't recognize them as good games. Like, when I've played them, I've absolutely enjoyed myself. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the hyper dark worlds, and I don't like a game that exists just to bully me for playing it. I
Yeah,
understand.
I like the vibes of the world, although as I was saying on Discord when this game got announced, uh all the From Software games nowadays just look the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Like stylistically and everything about them, I'm just like, these games they're starting to run together in my head. Because like
Yeah.
a lot of the production design and a lot of the design choices of like the characters and stuff just look the same.
And here's where it really annoys me, because like, when they started with like this long cut scene, and it was gorgeous and everything. Don't get me wrong. I thought for a second they were announcing like a new Castlevania or something,
Yeah.
which I would absolutely have fucked with. Like a new 3D Castlevania on a Switch 2, that would have been amazing. Like, that would have been, I would have been so hyped for it. And then, oh, From Software, and I just feel all my excitement being like, "Ew." And it's, again, I'm not sliding the games. I'm
I
not
was
sliding the
hoping
players.
for when From Software appeared on screen, I was like, I don't think they're gonna do like Bloodborne 2. I was like, is this a Togi 3?
Mm.
And then it
It
was
is
Dust
not.
Bloods, and I was like,
It is
it's
not.
Bloodborne 2.
So I was really sitting there. This is either Castlevania or it's a new IP, and I was excited as all hell, because that. And then Duskblood shows up, and you see, oh, it's that game again. And again, no hate to Soulsborne or any of their players. It's just that I feel like I see one of these every 2 months, which I realize is hilarious because I play indie horror games, and people can say the same thing about those. I just don't fuck with it, man. Like, it's just.
But
not me.
if you do fuck with it, the Switch 2 is also getting Elden Ring. So
Well, yes. So some people are eating very well on the Switch 2.
Be excited about that.
Yes.
There's so many games coming for the Switch 2 that I don't really have a ton to talk about. Final Fantasy 7 Remake is being released on Switch 2, which like cool.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 9 when?
Exactly. God damn it. I could rant about that for an hour.
We got some footage of Silk Song, which caused the internet to explode.
Holy shit, yes.
Still no release date though.
I still need to actually play Hollow Knight, and I'm sure I would love it if I did. I have no doubt in my mind.
Did you see
But the fact that
Jacksepticeye's reaction?
I never watched Jacksepticeye in my life.
So Jacksepticeye, going into this direct, he was like live streaming his reaction, and he was like, "Man, I can't wait for them to announce Silk Song," as he puts on a clown nose and a clown wig. And he's like, they're gonna show more. They're gonna show Silk Song, and then he was watching it, and Silk Song actually comes on, and he was like, "Wait, what?"
I think I've seen a GIF of it. That's amazing. I will say, I know that's the eternal joke. Like, we're never getting Silk Song. The fact that it got announced, and it did get announced, that it's coming this year, according to that announcement,
they're gonna 100% push that game back. I just
knock on wood and all that shit. I love the fact that it showed up for 4 seconds in a montage.
Yeah,
like, god damn, you are just feeding that fan base table scraps. It is insanity at this point. Because like, I've seen someone say, like, I've talked to playtesters of Silk Song, and they're like, the game is coming along fine. We don't know why Team Cherry is doing this. We have no idea why they won't just fucking say something.
At this point, I think they're just purposely trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many more games coming. You can check out full lists on IGN. There's a lot.
I'm excited for Deltarune finally. So
Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 are going to be released alongside it. That's pretty great. The Nintendo GameCube is coming to Nintendo Classic, seemingly
that is great
on Switch 2. They showed off 3 games that will be there at launch of that service. It will be The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Rip any hopes at an HD re-release. from the Wii U that's just going to be stuck on. So if you are a collector looking to invest, go buy the HD Wind Waker. I think it's like $40 right now. Go buy it and sit on that.
I'm pretty sure that the Wii U I have was the bundle where that came downloadable. So
go buy a physical copy and sit on it.
Yeah.
F-Zero GX, which is I mean, they got to give us something F-Zero related, I suppose, at some point.
Again, I don't care about F-Zero personally. That's the best I've seen F-Zero fans eat in decades.
Oh yeah.
And it's nothing.
And then, of course, the one that everyone's got excited about, Soul Calibur 2, is going to be launching, which I know that some people are like, oh, the GameCube version's the best version because it has Link. I never cared for Link. To me, Link being in that game is fucking weird.
Well,
maybe it's just because, when I first played Soul Calibur 2, I was playing the PS2 version. So
who was it in that one?
Heihachi from
that's true.
Tekken. And now as an adult, the one that I've poured the most time into was the Xbox version. Spawn.
Spawn, right.
So and then when they did a few generations ago, or not a few generations ago, I think it was on the PS4, they did an HD re-release of Soul Calibur 2 on PS4 and Xbox One that had both Heihachi and Spawn in it, but no Link, obviously.
No.
And so to me, I'm like, okay, cool, you get to play as Link. That's so.
To be fair,
I've been playing Soul Calibur 2 for a long time at this point.
To be fair,
I'd be excited if they brought Soul Calibur 3.
I mean, to be fair, guest fighters in fighting games are per definition kind of fucking weird, but it's cool. It's just there for the fun of it. It's just
I am glad to see it though, because I love Soul Calibur and I'm glad to see it.
I mean,
they did show.
You saw me you saw me share that video with all the Ghostface rants from Mortal Kombat 1, which are fantastic, by the way. Holy shit.
They did show also when they were showing off the Switch Online Nintendo GameCube stuff. They did show other games that will be coming to it. They showed a quick reel of covers.
Pokemon Coliseum, both of
Pokemon Coliseum, XD
Mansion.
Gale of Darkness, Luigi's Mansion.
I believe was on
your typical Skies of Arcadia was not on there.
Nope.
And Eternal Darkness, and Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem was not on there. What is going on? Come on, Nintendo.
So here's the thing.
Skies of Arcadia is Sega, isn't it? That one I can
at
least. I believe that's a Sega published.
Because
that one I could understand.
I've been listening to people talk about how Skies of Arcadia is better than anything else on planet Earth for 2 fucking decades now. I want to play
the Dreamcast copy.
Whatever, you get my point. I want to fucking play it. I'm gonna have to emulate it at this point.
At this point, emulating GameCube is so freaking easy.
Mm-hmm.
It
is. It absolutely.
You could be playing on a potato and just load up Dolphin
or Dreamcast for that matter.
And go.
I do have a Dreamcast emulator actually. Anyway,
I actually do think I know that I said play the Dreamcast version. I'm pretty sure the GameCube version is the definitive.
Probably, I wouldn't know. I will say that seeing the GameCube online, I was like, well, obviously that's happening. That's great. I'm happy. And then I saw the list of games, and I was like, oh, I own physical copies of all of those, and I have a GameCube.
I mean, it's cool to play them portably.
Absolutely.
We'll just ignore the fact that I can already do that with my Steam Deck.
Shut up.
I saw one chat comment during the live direct that was like, man, I can't wait for the emulator to come up to allow me to play Switch 2 games on my Steam Deck. And I was like, oh yeah, that's
definitely gonna happen.
Gonna happen. Maybe not on the Steam Deck, but maybe the Steam Deck 2.
Right.
Which we haven't gotten official confirmation of, but we'll probably get in the not too distant future, I feel like. So that is pretty much all that I have to talk about when it comes to the Switch 2.
Yeah, from here on, we'd just be talking about the various ports it's getting. I actually think the Direct showed me more than I thought they would. Because when I heard it was an hour long, I was like, okay, so they're definitely showing some games. Because what I was fearing for a while was there was just going to be a tech show-off thing. Just the console, maybe one launch title. Because
I showed a lot of games.
They actually showed a lot, and a lot of new titles too, a lot of launch titles. which I'm very happy with. Because I remember we talked about this a while back, like, what the fuck could they even do for a launch title? Because they very recently released mainline games in most of their big franchises, right?
I still am surprised that there's no like mainline Mario.
Yeah. Well, Wonder came out like a year ago, I believe.
Yeah, but like when I say mainline Mario, like
You
the
mean
2D
3D?
Mario games at this point, I don't consider mainline anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting, because it's been long enough since Odyssey. I was
Odyssey
kind of
was
expecting
17, right?
it.
2017?
Yeah, it was like it was not too long after the Switch came out.
Yeah.
So I was fully expecting there to be like an Odyssey 2 or just some like 3D Mario adventure.
But I still think that,
We
like,
got nothing.
we got more than I expected in terms of like new games with, Mario Kart, Bonanza. Bonanza was definitely a surprise. I had not.
Yeah, that was the one that caught me.
I
A little bit
definitely
off
did
guard.
not have a fucking Donkey Kong game on my bingo card, but I'm very happy with it. I think that's great. Like taking one of their lesser used characters and being like, all right, here you go. Well, lesser used,
Yeah.
B grade character, I guess I should say.
But with all that being said, we want to hear from you. We want to know what it is that you want to see on the Switch 2, what you thought about the Direct. Be sure to reach out to us on social. You can find us on Blue Sky these days.
Yes.
I am John Aljets on Blue Sky. I'm not Bender Waffles on Blue Sky, but I am Bender Waffles on Instagram and that other platform that I don't go to anymore because fuck Elon Musk.
John has become a full-on fucking way too adult man using his actual name on social media.
I got so many like people in the industry that I work in who were like, dude, this is your personal brand. Like, why would you not use your actual name for everything? I was like, when it came time for me to make my Blue Sky, I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow their advice. And it's going to be
with
John
you, dude.
Aljets.
I understand exactly why you're doing what you do.
My YouTube channel isn't even Bender Waffles anymore.
No, I know.
It changed over to my name.
Yeah.
So you can
I totally get it.
name.
I'm just messing with you. For me, though, it's still Ash Addict because I'm never getting rid of that, I guess, apparently.
Well, you don't go by your actual name anywhere.
No, not on. Nobody online can fucking pronounce it like you just so clearly demonstrated. So
that was close, wasn't it?
You're rolling that R way too much, but yeah.
Okay, then how do you say it?
Byakke.
Byakke?
You basically don't say the R.
Byakke?
That's closer. Byakke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get it at some point.
Point is, I still use my online.
I will get it
because I've done so since I was 14. So
I will get it right when we meet in person.
Oh yeah, sure you will. I'll be looking forward to that. And then I'll have you saying "Gwil me flu," and then you'll explode.
Yeah. When I flee my country and live on your couch.
Yeah, which could be any day now if those tariffs keep going up.
Not gonna lie, John says it like Esh is an anime protagonist.
Yabba! God damn it.
I am the anime antagonist of a lot of people's stories.
Oh,
Dragonite, good buddy of ours, good old Michael. I'm pretty sure every time he plays Pokemon, I am his rival now.
That makes sense. I'm enough of a kid that I still just call him like Buttface or something.
Oh, I'm not your rival. That kind of makes me feel bad.
Oh,
and it'd be a rival on the next one.
Speaking of next,
because you've been my Pokemon rival at a few places.
I didn't know that.
I like bounce between you and my buddy Owen.
By the way, bring back mean rivals. I'm serious. I want an asshole rival again. I don't even mind the friendly rivals, but give me one asshole rival again. That guy from Sword and Shield didn't count. The fairy
Bede?
guy. Yeah, he didn't.
He was a lot closer than we've gotten in a long time.
He was, but he still doesn't quite count. Hey, at least he got adopted by a weird old lady. So.
My thing is, if we're going to keep having friendly rivals, can they at least be like good rivals? Like to me, the best rival that we've had in a long time is Nimona.
Exactly.
Because like Nimona is like a worthwhile, like
yes,
fucking, like
she's
she
actually,
is worthy of being your rival.
she's fun to fucking fight. So there's that. I will like, okay, we're off topic and we should end soon. I will say one quick thing about rivals that I wish would happen in Pokemon. When X and Y came out back in the day and you had a whole friend group of rivals, I love that idea. I love the idea of having a group of friends, except Serena is barely competent. Shauna is slightly worse than that, and the two others can go fuck themselves.
Well, Serena's the only one, like Serena and Shauna are the only two that actually like have any characterization at all. Tierno and
whatever the fuck his face was,
Fro Kid, whose name I forget, like they show up twice and they are just kind of there.
And both times
like,
they have like two
really
Pokemon that are like half your level or something.
Yeah. Like, and Shauna is not like, I don't even, do you even battle Shauna? I don't remember you even battling
once
Shauna.
or twice, I think.
She kind of just shows up to make you feel really uncomfortable during a fireworks display. And then like she kind of just fucks off. And Serena like is your quote unquote rival, or Serena or Caleb, depending on which.
Oh yeah.
Well. But she stopped showing up like like not even the end of the gym challenge.
I'm just saying, I fucking love the idea of a group of friends that all function as like friendly rivals to each other.
I just wish that you would actually like, they would actually feel like a friend group.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I love the idea. They just fumbled it. Anyway, totally different discussion. I don't think we have much else to say about the Switch 2.
Visit Eshball's coffee page.
Yeah, please do. I guess
the stream bot finally popped up for him for once.
Apparently. So the Switch 2, I'm definitely excited. It looks like what I was hoping it would be for the most part, aside from a few hiccups here and there. I'm not getting it at launch. I'm waiting like a year. Like that's about it. Oh yeah. That would be great.
Maybe actually, you know what? Maybe don't, because you are literal children.
Maybe. Well, so in some of the games, it's not clear in some of them, but whatever.
It is very like, even the ones that it's not super clear, it's still like you are at most maybe 15.
Maybe. I don't know.
You are still a child.
I don't fucking care, man. Point is, it would be nice if there was a little more character to them every now and then. But nope. This to round up the Switch 2 again, I'll wait a year probably. But I am excited for it, and I'm definitely getting it eventually. Once it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Well, the games don't cost an arm and a leg, rather.
We will see about that. But anyways, it's something interesting to pay attention to. I will be watching with great interest. So anyways, Ash, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me, like I said, on Blue Sky, Ash Figadict. People are watching this on both YouTube and Twitch right now. I'm available on both of those. Twitch will have both art streams and game streams, kind of whenever I feel like. I don't really have a schedule exactly. And I have 3 YouTube channels, so there's plenty to look for there. There's Fiction Addiction, which, yes, I realize I need to update. It's been a while. There's Aesthetics, where I draw mostly character design challenges or some fan art just for fun. And then, of course, there's Ash Plays, where I play an absurd amount of indie horror games. Money that I could be spending on Bonanza, but never mind.
You can go and you can find me over on Blue Sky. I am John Aljets.bluesky. Whatever the hell they need to figure out that whole handle situation.
Yes, please.
But you can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Instagram. You can also find me over on the YouTubes, John Aljets on YouTube. I haven't uploaded anything in a while, but I've got some plans, especially because coming in May is my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So I will have content for that. Probably a Shining Force video, but I don't know. We will find out.
Ooh, interesting.
Because Shining Force was the first video I uploaded. So we will perhaps do a Shining Horse video.
So you're doing like a Nitro Rat Star Tropics thing, basically.
Anyways, be sure to go and check us out in those places. And we will see you maybe next week. I don't know. We'll find out if we have something to talk about.
I'm not sure this is weekly anymore. We'll find out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Either way, catch you guys around.
See ya.